Good morning. In the previous class, we have discussed about heat transfer through boiling, and in today class, we will discuss heat transfer through condensation. So first of all, what is condensation? So condensation is a phase change process in which vapor convert into its liquid form, and due to this phase change process, heat is transfer. So condensation occur when the temperature of a vapor is reduced below its saturation temperature because phase change occur at its saturation temperature. So only condensation on solid surface is considered in this chapter, and these condensation are mainly of two types. One is film condensation and second is drop wise condensation. So as the name suggests, in film condensation, it forms a continuous film on the solid surface. As you can see in this diagram, so we have a wall on which condensation takes place. So it forms a continuous film. On the other hand, in drop-wise condensation, it forms droplets instead of a continuous film. So due to formation of droplets, there are large amount of surface which is continuously in direct contact with vapor. So the heat transfer rate is much higher in drop wise condensation, because if we take example of film condensation, so here we have a continuous layer of condensate on the solid surface. So that layer acts as a resistance to heat transfer. That's why their heat transfer is very small as compared to drop wise condensation, and we can see a heat transfer rate that are more than 10 times larger than with film condensation can be achieved in drop wise condensation. Now we will take different example of film condensation, like film condensation on a vertical plate. After that, we will discuss some other examples like film condensation on inclined plane, on horizontal plate, and so forth. So we are starting from film condensation on a vertical plate. So liquid film start forming at the top of the plate and flow downward under the influence of gravity. So the thickness of the film increases in the flow direction, because let's say we have a solid wall on which condensation occurs, and that condensation is shown through this pink layer. So as vapor condense on the solid surface, their thickness increases and the condensate move in downward direction. So as we move in downward direction, the thickness of the liquid condensate increase with distance, because this liquid is moving in downward direction. So heat in the amount of hfg indicate heat of condensation, is released during condensation and is transferred through the film to the plate surface. This Ts indicates temperature of this plate, and T saturation indicate temperature of vapor. So this Ts must be below the saturation temperature for condensation. Otherwise condensation will not occur, because condensation occur at its saturation temperature. So if temperature is above saturation temperature, the condensation will not occur. So this Ts must be below saturation temperature to initiate condensation. The temperature of the condensate is Tsat at the interface and decrease gradually to Ts at the wall, because condensation start at saturation temperature. So the temperature at interface must be equal to saturation temperature of the liquid. So this Tsat is saturation temperature of vapor at which condensation occur. So now we have two temperature. One is Ts. Ts is temperature of wall, and this Ts is temperature of condensate at the interface. So the temperature of this liquid film, or we can say condensate film, change from Ts to T saturation. Now another important parameter is Reynolds number, because the characteristic of the condensate film can be derived with the help of Reynolds number. For that we can say whether the this condensate layer having laminar flow or wavy flow, turbulent flow. So in order to calculate Reynolds number, we can use this diagram. So Reynolds number is equal to its hydraulic diameter, that is this is hydraulic diameter, multiplied by density of the liquid and its velocity, and divided by its viscosity. Now if the Reynolds number is less than 30, it means we have a laminar flow. But if its value vary between 30 to 1800, then we have wavy laminar. And if Reynolds number value is higher than 1800, then we have turbulent flow in the condensate layer. So this Reynolds number increases in the flow direction. So before driving equation, first of all we made some assumptions. Both the plate and vapor are maintained at constant temperature Ts and Tsat respectively, and the temperature across the liquid film vary linearly. So here the assumption is that this wall temperature is maintained at Ts throughout the condensation process. Similarly, this interface temperature is maintained at Tsat, saturation temperature, throughout the condensation process. That will be constant if the pressure is constant, because if pressure is constant, the saturation temperature of any vapor phase will be constant. So this Tsat and Ts are constant. And now what happened in liquid film? In liquid film, temperature will vary. At the leftmost side of the film, the temperature is Ts, and on the right hand side, its temperature is Tsat. So our assumption is that because in that the temperature is changing from Tsat to Ts, now assumption is that this change in temperature is linear. So they are following linear temperature profile. The second assumption is that heat transfer across the liquid film is by pure conduction. This is our second assumption. So in that we assume the liquid film behave like a solid in which there are no bulk movement. So if we assume this, in that case there will the heat transfer will takes place only through conduction. So this is our second assumption. The third assumption is that the velocity of the vapor is low or zero, so that it exerts no drag on the condensate, no viscous shear on the liquid vapor interface. So this vapor having zero velocity, so it does not give any drag to this film. Otherwise, if there is a drag of liquid, then the thickness of the condensate layer will increase or decrease depending upon the direction of the vapor phase. If vapor and liquid both are moving in same direction, then the thickness of this condensate layer will decrease, otherwise it will increase. So we are also eliminating this factor by assuming that there is no movement in vapor phase. So vapor velocity is zero. The next assumption is that the flow of condensate is laminar and the property of the liquid are constant. So laminar flow means the Reynolds number is less than 30, and liquid property like its density, viscosity, etc. are constant. The last assumption is the acceleration of condensate layer is negligible. So these are some basic assumptions we have used. Now if we apply Newton law of motion, then and so there are three force acting on this film. So for that, first of all, if you can see this diagram, so this is a liquid layer. First of all, we have selected a control volume, this one, and its magnified image is given over here. So this element is at a distance of y. Uh, so this is at a distance of y. Uh, this is at a distance of y, and thickness of this condensate layer is delta at a distance x. So if the distance of this control volume from the wall is y, and thickness of the layer is delta, then the thickness of this control volume will be lambda minus y. Lambda is overall thickness of the means thickness of the film at a distance x, and y is distance between control volume and wall. So their difference will be the thickness of the control volume. So the dimension of this control volume is that its thickness is delta minus y, and its height is dx, and its width is b. So its volume will be b into dx into delta minus y. So these are its dimension. Now there are three force acting on this control volume. One is weight of this control volume. So the weight of this volume act in downward direction, that is rho g delta minus y b dx. Second one is shear force, and third one is buoyancy force. So both shear force and buoyancy force act in upward direction. So this one is shear force and this one is buoyancy force. Now if we apply all these force using Newton's second law of motion, then the at equilibrium the downward force will be equal to upward force. The downward force is weight of control volume, and upward force is viscous shear force and buoyancy force. So this weight will be equal to viscous force plus buoyancy force, and if we put value of all these forces, then this is our final equation. Now this bdx is a common term so we can cancel out this bdx, and if we rearrange that equation in form of du by dy, then finally this above equation will be converted in this form. Now to calculate the velocity of liquid, we have to integrate this equation. So for integrating, let's integrate that equation using boundary condition. At y equal to 0, this u equal to 0, u is velocity. This is because of no slip condition. Y equal to 0 means at the solid wall. So at the solid wall there is will be no movement of liquid due to no slip condition. So at y equal to 0, this velocity will be 0, and at y equal to some distance y, we have some value of velocity. So at y u equal to uy. So if we integrate the by using this boundary condition, finally we can calculate velocity of the condensate layer. So this is velocity of condensate layer. Again we can calculate mass flow rate. So mass flow rate will be mx, indicate mass flow rate, kg per second or mole per second. Now this is rho V uy into dA. Rho is density, uy is its velocity, and dA is area. So the unit of density is kg per meter cube, and unit of velocity is meter per second, and unit of area is meter square. So this meter cube will be cancelled out, and finally we left with kg per second. So kg per second is mass flow rate. So the unit in both left and right hand side are equal. Now we can put value of uy that we have calculated. So this uy we can put in below equation. So if we substitute this uy in this equation, then we can get this equation. Now again, if we differentiate this equation with respect to x, then we get this equation. So this is mass flow rate, change in mass flow rate with respect to distance. Distance means as we move in downward direction. So we give this equation as equation number 4. Again, the rate of heat transfer from vapor to plate through liquid film will be dq is rate of heat transfer is hfg. Hfg is heat of condensation, and if we multiply it by this change in mass flow rate, then it will give total amount of heat that is transfer when vapor change phase from vapor to liquid, and at steady state that heat is transferred to the solid wall. So ultimately with the help of that we can calculate the amount of heat which is transferring from vapor to liquid to the wall. And in our assumption we assume that the heat transfer occur due to conduction only. So if heat is transferred through conduction, then we have to use Fourier law of heat conduction to calculate the rate of heat conduction through that liquid layer. So for that the Fourier law of heat conduction is K A dt by dx. K is thermal conductivity, A is area, area is B into dx, its height into its width. So B dx is area, dt by dx, dt is temperature difference, temperature difference is T saturation minus Ts, the saturation temperature minus wall temperature, divided by dx means the thickness of the medium through which heat is transferring, the thickness is delta. So again if we rearrange that equation and write in form of dm by dx, then this equation can be converted into this form. Now we have two equation. One is this equation number 5 in which we have calculated this change in mass with respect to x, and one we have previously calculated this one. So if we compare these two equations, then we can rewrite after comparing these two equations in this form. Now with the help of this equation we can calculate thickness of condensate layer with respect to height. Height means with respect to x. So for that we have to integrate that equation from x equal to 0. So at x equal to 0 means at the top. So at the top the film thickness will be 0 because film start forming at the top and having maximum thickness at the bottom. So we can integrate from at x equal to 0 to some value x at which its thickness is delta x. So by using this boundary condition we integrate this equation and finally we get this equation. So in that way we can calculate thickness of the condensate layer with respect to height or with respect to x, because here we have this x. So if x changes or if the height of the liquid film change, its thickness will also change, and they are directly proportional. So in that way we can calculate thickness of this condensate layer at any point. Now, the heat transfer across liquid film is assumed to be by pure conduction. The heat transfer coefficient can be expressed through Newton law of cooling and Fourier law. So, because this is liquid film, so in that we can apply Newton law of cooling. So, Newton law of cooling is Q equal to H into delta T. But in that case, we assume the heat is transferring through conduction. So for conduction, the heat this Q will be equal to K delta T by this delta. So if we compare these two equations, then with the help of these two equations, we can calculate heat transfer coefficient. So after comparing these two equations, finally we can calculate heat transfer coefficient, that is equal to K1 upon delta. So substitute now we have already calculated this delta. So substitute value of delta in this equation. So after substituting delta from equation 7, finally we can calculate this heat transfer coefficient. So this is heat transfer coefficient. So this heat transfer coefficient again function of x. So with the help of this equation, we can calculate heat transfer coefficient at any point in the film. But if we want to calculate average value of heat transfer coefficient, then we have to take average. So for taking average, we can use this equation. H equal to its simple mean 1 upon L. L is total length of the film. So we have to integrate between 0 to L into H dx. So in that way we can calculate mean value, that is 4 by 3 H at x equal to L. So after putting this value, the average value of heat transfer coefficient is this one. So this is value of heat transfer coefficient at any point, and this one is heat transfer coefficient, the average value of heat transfer coefficient of the film. But it is observed to predict heat transfer because it does not take into account the effect of non-linear temperature profile in the liquid film and cooling of liquid below the saturation temperature. So these are two variation, because in first assumptions we assume the temperature in the film is changing linearly. So this was our assumptions, but so this equation does not take into account the non-linear change in temperature. Second, because here we have temperature T saturation, and the temperature of wall is Ts, which is at a lower value of saturation temperature of liquid or vapor. So it there is always a possibility that this condensate liquid temperature go below its saturation temperature, because this Ts is below saturation temperature. So due to this temperature, it is also possible that this liquid temperature also go below its saturation temperature. So there are due to these two factors which we have not accounted in our derivations, so we get some error. So to compensate these factor, we use HFG instead of HFG, we use HFG star. So this HFG is heat heat of condensation, and this H star FG is corrected heat of condensation. So here we are doing nothing, just replacing this H FG by H star FG. Again, this was our assumptions that the liquid layer, the flow of liquid is laminar. So this equation is valid for Reynolds number vary between 0 to 30, because in this Reynolds number range the liquid is following laminar flow regime. Now we know the density of vapor is very small as compared to density of liquid. So this difference, density of liquid minus density of rho, because density of vapor is very small, so we can simply write this is equal to density of liquid only. Now using these assumptions and substituting equation 3 and 7 at x equal to L into Reynolds number definition, by noting that this we have also derived, and average value this. So the finally I want to say that for this condition the value of Reynolds number is this one. Value of Reynolds number for laminar flow and film is vertical. For vertical film, for vertical laminar film, Reynolds number is this one. The average, then the average heat transfer coefficient in term of Reynolds number can will become this one. And here assumptions is that the density of vapor is very small as compared to density of liquid. The result obtained from theoretical relation above are in excellent agreement with experimental result. Now that derivation was for laminar regime. Now second condition is that if we have wavy laminar regime means if the Reynolds number value vary between 30 to 1800, 30 to 1800, as I told you earlier, the Reynolds number for laminar flow, Reynolds number vary between 0 to 30, and for wavy laminar flow its value vary between 30 to 1800. And if value of Reynolds number is higher than 1800, then we have turbulent flow. So for this wavy laminar flow, the Reynolds number value vary between 30 to 1800. And for wavy laminar flow, the because as turbulence increase, the heat transfer coefficient will also increase. So for this wavy laminar flow, the value of heat transfer will be higher, so we get higher rate of heat transfer. So in that case we normally get 20% increase in heat transfer, but it can exceed 50%. And this is the equation to calculate heat transfer coefficient for wavy flow, laminar flow, and this one is equation to calculate Reynolds number. Now the third condition is that if we have turbulent flow on vertical plate, so for turbulent flow the Reynolds number value will be higher than 1800, and this is the equation to calculate heat transfer coefficient for turbulent flow, and this is the equation to calculate Reynolds number for turbulent flow. And the physical property of condensate are again to be evaluated at the film temperature. Now this film temperature is nothing but the average of saturation temperature and the wall temperature. This is graphical representation for laminar flow. So for here in the x-axis we have this vector in y-axis, and in the x-axis we have Reynolds number. So this is the graph, because in that equation we also have Prandtl number. So for different value of Prandtl number we are getting these different values. Now the second case is that in the previous case the plate was horizontally placed, but now in second case if instead of horizontal plate, here we have inclined plate. So for inclined plate we have to do nothing but just add this cos theta term. So for inclined plane the heat transfer coefficient is nothing but simply this h vertical, heat transfer coefficient for vertical plate, multiply by cos theta power 1 by 4. So we are doing nothing, only multiplying previous equation by cos theta raised to power 1 by 4, and the final equation will be this one. Again if this is for laminar flow, so in that Reynolds number vary between 0 to 30. Now the third case is that we have vertical tube. In previous examples we have vertical plates, But now instead of vertical plate we have vertical tube. So sorry, this is not 1020, this is equation 11. So this equation 11 for vertical plate can also be used to calculate the average heat transfer coefficient for laminar film condensation on the outer surface of vertical tubes, provided that the tube diameter is large relative to thickness of the liquid film. So we can use previous equation for vertical tube also. Now next is horizontal tubes and sphere. Now instead of vertical tubes, if we have horizontal tubes or sphere, in that case the heat transfer coefficient can be calculated with the help of this equation. And if we have sphere, then we can replace this constants 0.729 by 0.815. Now we have calculated heat transfer coefficient for both horizontal and vertical tubes. Now if we divide these heat transfer coefficient, that is heat transfer coefficient for vertical tube divided by heat transfer coefficient of horizontal tube, if we divide these two equations, then finally in right hand side we get this one. Now let us assume if we have this heat transfer coefficient for vertical and horizontal pipe are equal. Or if we put left hand side equal to 1, so we can get this equation: the length of the tube will be equal to 2.77 times its diameter. So from that equation we can conclude that if the length of the pipe is 2.77 times its diameter, so in that case heat transfer coefficient for vertical and horizontal pipe will be equal. But normally what happened in normal situation, the length of the pipe is very high as compared to its diameter. So if length is very large as compared to its diameter, in that case the heat transfer coefficient for horizontal tubes are much larger than the heat transfer coefficient for vertical pipes. So we can conclude that if we place the tubes horizontally, then we can get large amount of heat transfer coefficient as compared to if the tubes are placed vertically. Now the next thing is that if we have horizontal tube bank, now instead of one tube, if we have a bundle of tube, that normally happen in in a condenser, we have a bunch of tubes. So what happened, whatever condensate on top plate, that trickle down to the next bottom plate, and this process go again and again. So in that way what happened, the combined condensate thickness of top tube will be smaller, and the its thickness gradually increases, and the bottommost tube have highest thickness, because the condensate of upper layer trickle down to its below tube. So the thickness will continuously increase. So due to increase in thickness of this condensate layer, the heat transfer rate will decrease, because what happen, these layer ultimately offer resistance for heat transfer. So if its thickness increases, the heat transfer rate will decrease. So to compensate this factor, we can calculate heat transfer coefficient for when n number of if we have n number of tubes placed in bank. So for that the equation is this one. So this is horizontal heat transfer coefficient for n number of tubes. So this is final equation. Now effect of vapor velocity. So in the previous example we have made assumption that the vapor velocity is zero. It means it does not offer any drag to the liquid, and so that effect we have neglected in our previous derivation. But that was our assumptions only. There is some movement of vapor. So due to movement of vapor it also have some drag force. So it affect the thickness of the condensate layer. So there are two condition. One is because for example if we have vertical tubes, so the liquid condensate move in downward direction. Now if vapor is also moving in downward direction, so due to drag force it drag liquid in the downward direction, so the overall thickness of the condensate layer will decrease. But on the other hand, if liquid is moving in downward direction and vapor is moving in upward direction, so due to drag force it drag liquid in upward direction. So due to this drag the thickness of the liquid layer will increase. So if thickness of liquid layer increase, it offer more resistance. So in that case the resistance will be high and we get less amount of heat transfer. The second factor which affect condensation is presence of non-condensable gas in the condenser. So that also affect the condensation process. Uh, Also, if the non-condensable gas present in very small amount, this is because if the condensable gas condense at the liquid interface, and because let's say this is mixture of condensable and non-condensable gas. So what happen at the liquid interface, the condensable gas condense on the liquid interface, and here near to the interface we will left with non-condensable gas only. So virtually what happen, it make a layer which is highly concentrated with non-condensable gas, and it again offer resistance for condensation. So if non-condensable gas present if small amount only, then also it uh, decrease condensation sharply. So experimental studies show that the presence of non-condensable gases in the vapor has a detrimental effect on condensation heat transfer. Even small amount of non-condensable gas in the vapor cause significant drop in heat transfer coefficient during condensation. So it is common practice to periodically vent out the non-condensable gas that accumulate in the condenser to ensure proper operation. So if you visit any industry and see condenser, so you always found there is one vent. So that vent is used to remove non-condensable gas in the condenser. Otherwise, its efficiency sharply decrease. Second is a high flow velocity is more likely to remove the stagnant non-condensable gas from the vicinity of the interface and thus improve heat transfer. Now, second case, the next case is film condensation inside horizontal tube. So up to now, all example are those in which condensation occur outside the tube. Now in this case, the condensation occur inside the tube. So if condensation occur inside the tube, then most condensation process encounter in refrigeration and air conditioning application involve condensation on the inner surface of horizontal or vertical tube, and heat transfer analysis of condensation inside tube is complicated by the fact that it is strongly influenced by vapor velocity and the rate of liquid accumulation on the wall of the tube. So for low vapor velocity, this is heat transfer coefficient, when the condensation occur inside the tube, and this is Reynolds number for that case. So this equation is valid only for Reynolds number less than 35,000. The next type of condensation is drop wise condensation. So in drop wise, in film condensation, we they form a continuous film of condensate liquid. But on the other hand, in drop wise condensation, they form condensate liquid droplets. So most of the surface still exposed directly to the vapor, and there is no resistance in that area which offered by liquid condensate. So due to that fact, the heat transfer rate is much larger for drop wise condensation. And in industrial practice, the objective is that the condensation should occur in drop wise manner. But the problem is not to make a surface which make drop wise condensation, but the challenge is in drop wise condensation is not to achieve it, but rather to sustain it for prolonged period of time. Because if the surface is very smooth, normally it form drop wise condensation, but with the time being it get roughened up, and with for due to scaling on the surface, so it start forming film condensation. So the challenge is that to uh, sustain it for prolonged period of time. See, this drop-wise condensation has been studied experimentally for a number of surface liquid combination, and this equation is for calculating heat transfer coefficient for drop-wise condensation. So this is end of today lecture. Thank you.